Shenmue 3 is coming out, but it's not coming out on the Dreamcast, so that sucks. Anyways, this is one of those announcements, because I haven't really done more than dip my toes into the Shenmue universe, that it excites me because I'm so happy for the fan base. This is a fan base that's been super vocal about a game made by a guy, Yu Suzuki, who's also been super vocal about his passion for it, and nothing has ever met up. And now they did it. They can do it. And they announced the Kickstarter, which I'm going to be honest with you, is kind of weird to me that they would have not... I mean, why... I'm not sure why Sony didn't just back it. But
Sony announced it at their presentation. Really fucking strange.
Yes.
Obviously, you're going to get everyone excited for by doing that. Really strange. Really strange.
But of course, it served its purpose. It got the damn thing funded in less than 24 hours.
We're at 3.1 million right now with 29 days left.
Yeah, and it needed 2. So that's exciting. For everyone who likes Shenmue, I'm happy for you. I would love it. I would love it if with this happening, they could find a way to just give me a digital version of 1 and 2 so that I can get into it and understand why people want this so bad.
Obviously Sony has a stake in this at this point.
Yes.
This is not going to be on Xbox, I assume.
I believe I think it said PC and PS4 exclusive, but I could even be wrong about that.
It's PC and PS4.
Okay.
So, obviously Sony would have the money to bankroll this themselves. They're a billion-dollar company. So my question then is, was this them hedging their bets? Was this free publicity for a game that maybe most of the audience wouldn't have heard of, but just seeing the excitement of people in the crowd, obviously they'd have more of a stake in this than the average person at home. The average 18-year-old would be like, who cares about this game? You know what I mean? That's following gaming news. Was it a combination of that? Was this just sort of... Was this money not even necessary to create the game in its entirety? Maybe it was just giving Sony faith that they should fund it beyond this point, to a point to release it. These are questions I would like answered, because I think this sets a really weird precedent in the future. But I talked about it before, about, hey, if Capcom has any inclinations about releasing a Mega Man game and they're scared a little bit, if they did a Kickstarter and raised the money in a day, then they should do that. I have no problem with doing that. But this isn't Capcom. This is Sony. This is totally different to me. This is a company that this isn't their property. This is something that they've canceled games before. This is a franchise that has been around 15 years at this point. When was it?
14, 15.
14.
Yeah.
Okay. So 15 years. So it's just strange to me that they would use that sort of platform to do that. And then at what point does Sony come in and take control in some way, or are they going to keep totally hands off? These are questions I think need to be answered, because obviously there's a little tit for tat going on if they allowed and wanted this to be advertised at their press conference. I mean, besides it just being exclusive.
I mean, I feel like Yu Suzuki could have launched a Shenmue 3 Kickstarter without Sony, and it would have been funded in just the same amount of time with how rabid that fan base is. But it might have been a scratch my back, I scratch yours. You announce at the press conference and keep it exclusive, and we guarantee that, your Kickstarter is going to be funded in, 18 hours or whatever the fuck it took.
Because we're at almost 40,000 backers right now. Let's assume that 95% of those are for the game. About 95% of those are for the game. Let's just say then the way these usually go, this will probably triple at most. Say you have 140,000 people end up buying this via the pre-order. Would that have been enough on its own for Sony to put in millions of dollars into the development of a game like that? 140,000, that's on the low end probably for a modern game that with that much money, versus an independent game where not as much money is going in. For them, this is probably good faith to say, okay, now we can back this going forward. That's the way I'm looking at it. Otherwise, again, why would they, unless they just really like the guy and just want him to promote the game at E3.